The relocation assistance information, I want to go over a little bit because it goes for AB 1482, which is a lot less than like the city of Los Angeles. But AB 1482 requires 1 month of rent as a relocation payment. So if the tenant is renting at $2,000, the relocation amount is $2,000. You'll see on the next slide the extreme difference between the state ordinance and the city ordinances. And once again, you have to make sure that every city that you go in, like Oakland has their own rent control that's a lot stricter than the state. So that'll be what takes the precedence in regards to eviction. Same thing with San Francisco, same thing with Richmond. So Santa Monica has a rent control, Pasadena has a rent control. You just have to look up the different ordinances in different cities to find out what the relocation amount is. So per the state ordinance, you can terminate the tenancy with proper notice, but you must put the 1 month of rent relocation and give it to the tenant within 15 days of that termination notice. So they need to receive that money before they relocate. And if they don't relocate, that's when it becomes an at-fault eviction. So there's 3 different determinations of the relocation assistance for City of Los Angeles. There's the qualified tenant, which is any tenant who is on the notice at 62 years or older, handicapped, as defined by the state of California, Title 42, and any minor children. So if you have 15 people in a unit, 1 person is under the age of 18 or 1 person is over the age of 62, they are deemed to be a qualified tenant. If they're an eligible tenant, which is what you want, which is the age range of 18 to 61, but not handicapped, they are only entitled to a lot lower of an amount for relocation. And then there's low income tenants as well that are determined by their monthly income. So the amounts that are due up until June 30th, 2020 for relocation of eligible tenants, you'll see tenants with less than 3 years, they are owed $8,500 to relocate under the Ellis Act. With more than 3 years, they're owed $11,150, and income below, which is the low income, which I'll show you on the next slide, they're owed $11,150. So as you'll see, the qualified tenant, the tenants with less than 3 years are $17,950. Tenants with more than 3 years are $21,200, and same with low income. Now, I want you guys to understand these numbers so it helps you with coming up with a cash for keys agreement and your buy price, so you can factor in this amount. My advice to investors when they're purchasing these type of properties with the rent control is to at least factor in about 25 grand per unit to offer these tenants as cash for key in order to avoid the Ellis Act. The amounts on this slide is what the City of Los Angeles requires for the City of Los Angeles requires for the Ellis Act, and that's if you go through the correct channels. But once again, I advise you not to, because then you have to take the rental unit off the market for 2 years. But if it's going to take you 2 years to rehab it, it might be worth it, but it's just something you have to think about and weigh your options for. In regards to the state, once again, it's only 1 month of rent, but with what's going on with COVID, you kind of have to factor in like 3 times that amount to try to get a cash for keys agreement. So if it's $2,000, you got to factor in trying to offer the tenant $6 grand as a cash for keys to avoid trying to take them and get rid of them through an eviction. These are just the HUD low income limits for Los Angeles. So I'm just putting it out there. So when they're determined to be a low income family, just so you guys have that access and know it now. If you do go through the cities, you have to pay, the fees must be paid to the cities to go through the Ellis Act. And any type of relocation program goes through the city, there's fees to the city. And that's why I'm trying to tell you guys it's better for you to avoid going through the city if you can. If you can't, this is just the next proceeds and next process. So with the state, the payment is required 15 days after notice. For cities, they differ. For the City of Los Angeles, it's due within, you have to put it into an escrow account within 10 days of the notice of move out, so they have access to it, but they are not allowed to receive it until they actually vacate the property. And if they do not vacate the property, you can use the amount that you've set aside for relocation to evict them.